So many women have car trauma, big or little t, because of men and their rage. In fact, I did not realize how bad I had it, how much of it I had, or how bad it was until I started talking about it. And in my last video, I talk about how my dad was such a bad driver. Like, he drove like this so he wouldn't fall asleep because he's narcoleptic. That's where I get this from. He drove very anxiously, like gas, brake, or sorry, one foot, not both. But he also was a very angry man. Now, most of my trauma around cars and driving in terms of rage and anger is not from him. Most of it from him was him being just a really bad driver and a very anxious driver. My ex is the one who gave me so much, like, real PTSD. Okay, first of all, so for those of you who don't know the abusive dude I dated, he almost drove me off a cliff at the end. Like, I'm not even joking. I still relive that moment in my life, like Thelma and Louise style, minus feminism and hand-holding and good things. But like, it was in New Mexico, in a desert, huge, whatever. But that man, he also almost ran me and my friend Annie, who came all the way down from Alaska to save me and take me out of the state of New Mexico to get away from this man. I've talked about Annie before. Women are going to save you, not men, if you're ever in danger, by the way. But we know that by now, right? But he ran us off the road when, in one of the last days when she was there helping, he came up behind. I was like, oh my God, that's him behind us. And I was like, I literally had to run off the road into sagebrush or whatever because he was going to hit me. Whether he was driving with me in the car or literally driving another car, whatever. Dude was terrifying. But he's not the only man that I've been in a car with that's terrifying. Now, okay. Just to be clear, I'm not saying that women can't do this, haven't done this. Maybe your mom was like this, you're like, whatever. But vehicles and cars is one way that men abuse women, especially if they don't have an actual weapon at home. It's one way that they control women with their moods. It's like, like, don't want to make him angry while we're in the car, because when he's angry, he starts speeding and driving recklessly. I'm held hostage. I could literally die. So I'm not gonna, like, we tiptoe around their egos, especially in cars, because it is such a dangerous situation. If you think about what we're actually doing, it's kind of nuts. Like, we will get in cars with men who have traditionally shown for a long time, not that they're incapable of emotionally regulating, but that they will not. Right? They will not regulate around us. They will regulate at work or when it counts, but around us, they're not doing that labor, because that's labor. And most of them purposely don't do that, not only because they don't care, but because they are trying to control you. So again, these men are abusive even if they never lay a hand on you. If you ask any car insurance company why men's premiums or whatever are so much higher, it's because they get in more accidents. And even though women do get in accidents, a lot of times it's because they're distracted, not because they're in rage. And I'd even be willing to bet that a lot of women's car accidents, because they're distracted, who are they distracted by? Who's distracting them? Maybe it's their kids, but even that might be all roads lead to Rome kind of thing, right? I'm not saying everything's men's fault, but I am saying that patriarchy, it is woven into everything. So if you have a mother who's a married single mom who has to take care of the kids all the time because dad won't do crap, she probably has a lot on her plate and she's managing so much. And this dude, if her kids aren't distracting her all the time, or her, maybe her friends who are calling about their husband sucking. If she goes to the store without the kids and he babysits them, his own children, then he's blowing up her phone with stuff. They never leave us alone. And a lot of men literally never leave us alone to tire us out, right? They're texting all the time. They ask dumb questions they could have figured out themselves because the baby needs to be close to mommy and have access to mommy all the time. So a lot of women's distraction is, or, taking care of other people, because that's our conditioning that we have to unlearn. It is not our job to save everybody, always answer the phone, always be available, and pour into everyone but ourselves. And also, we're distracted by worrying about so much. A lot of times we have crazy controlling boyfriends and husbands who are blowing up our phones. I remember When my ex was at that point where he was blowing up my phone all the time, like the more, the worse our relationship got, the more he just would not leave me alone. And I'm talking like, I don't even know, maybe 60 texts an hour, and they don't stop until you answer them. So a lot of times, when I see a woman on her phone, I'm like, maybe she's doing something she shouldn't be doing, whatever. Maybe she's checking Facebook, or maybe she's responding to a man who won't leave her alone ever. And if she doesn't respond, he will just keep texting and calling. And I'd even argue women who are like putting on their makeup and stuff on the way to work. Why are they doing that? Did they not have time at home? Like, I'm always questioning, now that I realize how little spare time women have, and we know it also gets worse the more marginalized you are. Every intersection you're at, the less time and energy you have, because it takes so much to survive and to take care of your community and pour into your relationships, because men aren't doing any of it. If you have when you have all this stuff happening, women are distracted. Yeah, how could we not be? And then when we dare to get in a car with a man who has like nothing to think about, I really don't know what they're thinking about. And when you ask them, they say nothing. That's probably true. They're thinking about like the statistics of some crap that's like pointless. And then we get in a car with them, and then that's where they put us in our place. I went on a date with a guy. First date we went on. This was before I realized that you should never tell them where you live, and you never let them pick you up. This was in LA. The dude came and picked me up. He picked me up in his work van. That he allegedly owned that company, but now I'm starting to think that was probably a lie. I just assume everything men's saying is lies at this point. And I just remember on the way to this restaurant, he was driving insane. Now, this is LA. Everyone gets a little crazy with the driving. It is a very hard place to drive. It's very stressful. I understand how road rage happens there. But when you are a first impression on a date with a woman, like that right there said a lot. But even when I said, hey, you're driving like it's scaring me, he didn't change. That was red flag number 2. Didn't listen to me, didn't care, was like, and he's on a date with me. I should feel safe. That's like the bare minimum you can do, is me feeling safe. And you are literally doing something in addition to me not knowing you, and you could, cut my head off. You're also driving crazy. Like, bro, I am like so at risk right now just being with you, much less in your dumb Scooby-Doo van with your little temper tantrum. But I think he was testing me to see if I'd still hang out with him. I mean, I should have told him to take me home right there. Or actually, I should have gotten an Uber home, because this man showed his butt later on. I went out, like a dummy. I went out to dinner with him. This was when I was like a baby dating Melanie, right? Like I was a baby in the dating world. And I was like 37 or something. I'd never dated before, y'all. I didn't know about these red flags. That's why I make this content. At dinner, I found out that he also used to be a drug addict and was homeless in Las Vegas for a while. And when I asked him, well, how'd you get out of that? Like, that's a lot. You're successful now. Oh, friends. I remember being like, oh my God, like addict. No recovery program, no therapist, like nothing. You just talk to friends and okay. And then later on, after the date, the question came up. So how many men have you been with? He texted me that question. And I was like, that's none of your business. And then he went into what? And then he got really aggressive with me for refusing to answer that question and calling out how rude that was. I immediately blocked him. I am not saying that all men who get angry when they drive are abusers. In fact, I would say that's one of the most common ways that men, even who are just like the most normal, nice men, even though it's all men, okay, right? That is one area where their frustration comes out, but it's about whether they're being thoughtful of the people in the car with them. If you're going to be reckless, bro, and possibly unalive someone crossing the street or driving or biking, like that already is selfish. But you do not bring me into that with you. Men who will not change their driving as soon as you say something are men who do not care about your safety. By the way, thanks for being here. Please don't forget to hit the notification if you want to know when I make stuff, and subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Leave a comment. Let me know if you know exactly what I'm talking about and have some road rage stuff. Tips also, please share. Feel free to share. We're trying to keep each other safe here.